You just don't understand. You don't make any sense. Two statements from two perspectives. The first expressed by the frustrated speaker, and the second by the annoyed receiver. Understanding, or listener comprehension, is the second of 6 critical interrelated behaviors that we need to integrate into our lives if we're to be effective listeners. In this video, let's spend a few minutes and explore understanding. Why don't people understand, and how can people be understood? It's a frustrating feeling when you're trying to talk with a coworker or boss, or you're sharing your concern over a relationship issue with a friend or a relationship partner, and they just don't understand. The question is, why don't people understand? After all, I think I make perfect sense. We need to consider a couple of important listening concepts in order to answer this question. The first concept we need to grasp is the concept of symbols and meanings. As soon as I say a word or series of words, your brain starts the process of trying to comprehend my words. We match verbal sound cues, spoken words, with corresponding mental images of what we have come to relate to the sound cue. Frog. There was a sound cue, but what mental image came to mind? Was your image of a poisonous frog you learned you should not touch? Or was it like one of my earliest memory of frogs, a big get-together where someone had gigged a bunch of bullfrogs and we had a huge meal of frog legs? The sound cues, the words we use to communicate with our boss or our partner, are filled with attached meanings that are seldom the same attached meanings the other person has, because we all have different experiences that enable us to attach meanings to words. At best, the meanings each of us choose to assign to word symbols are relative, approximate, and dependent on our own filters. Therefore, listening is the search for and the purposeful creation of shared meanings. Misunderstandings happen when an individual just assumes the other person, the listener, or the speaker, has the exact same meaning for words that he or she does. A second concept to consider when asking why people don't understand is the concept of semantic reactions. Here's what happens when someone has what I'm referring to as a semantic reaction. Everyone has an inner voice that, during the hearing process, instantaneously and simultaneously, is thinking about and considering the sound cues or word symbols. This inner voice rapidly sorts through the experiences, usually listening for key ideas and not always specific words, and attempts to form a frame of reference for the incoming information. So here's what happens, and this is where misunderstandings can arise. First, the person hearing the words has a semantic reaction. Second, the listener then reacts to this generated meaning more than the actual words or assumed societal meaning of the words. The sound cues the other person receives can be the word or even the tone of voice. You said one thing, but they reacted to something else. You, as the person speaking, will not always be aware of the impact that someone else's personal, cultural, or family background or other experiences might be on their understanding or misunderstanding of what you've said. So here's the bottom line. The conclusion that you arrive at is that not understanding someone or someone not understanding everything you might say is more the norm than not. We should almost begin with the assumption that the listener's semantic reaction will be impacting their understanding of what I'm going to say. As we've said, listening is the purposeful activity of seeking to understand by working to create a shared meaning. Shared meaning does not just happen. You both, the speaker and the listener, have to work at the process of understanding. This leads us to the other half of the equation we're looking at. How can people be understood? There are many suggestions we could examine as solutions to this question. I want to propose the discussion of one suggestion in particular: questions. So you have two or more people trying to understand, trying to comprehend what in the world the other person, the speaker, is trying to communicate. Why not start with a question? The alternative is often to belittle, to interrupt, to become defensive, or to ignore the other person. Have you ever found any of these alternatives productive to understanding or to the relationship? Let's refer to this process of asking questions as perception checking. Perception checking is asking a question or questions to confirm your understanding of your partner's message, if it's correct, or to see if you are entirely off base. This question provides information to your partner about your understanding, and in return allows your partner to modify or clarify the real intent of the message. What would a perception checking question sound like? It can be worded in lots of ways, but in basic terms, you're simply asking the speaker, "This is what I heard you say just now," and then you fill in the blank. Is this correct? Force yourself to check your perception, even when it feels awkward and possibly annoying. Remember to approach perception checking in an unemotional manner, sincerely, and with the intent to more fully understand or be understood. How can people be understood? By taking the time to cooperatively seek to ask and answer perception checking questions. The process of understanding is a behavior, an intentional behavior. Understanding others and helping others to understand you in the listening process doesn't just happen. But here's the great news. You can make it happen if you work at it. See you in the next video.